I'm Rebecca King Ferraro.
And I'm Michael Sean Breeden, and you're listening to Conversations on Dance.
Today, we are so pleased to bring you our interview with George Lee, the original tea dancer in George Balanchine's The Nutcracker. Also joining us for the second time is documentary filmmaker Jennifer Lin. Jennifer's latest film, 10 Times Better, explores the life and legacy of George. Jennifer talked to us about this film in episode 382 before its premiere. Today, George tells us about his story, and the pair talk about how they came to connect and what filming the documentary was like. We hear about the response to the film and what it has meant to George to know so many people are touched by his story. For information about upcoming screenings or to get in touch with Jennifer, visit 10timesbetterfilm.com or visit the link in the show notes.
Thank you both so much for being here on Conversations on Dance. We're so excited to hear about George's story. We first fell in love with it as we were introduced to it through Jennifer in a recent conversation we had about the documentary 10 Times Better. But we'd love to start with George and just hear a little bit of a rundown for those who maybe either didn't get to hear that episode of ours or see the documentary yet. Give us a little bit of an introduction into how you first became invested and involved in ballet and a little bit of what your career was like as a performer.
Well, it started with my mother, though. She was a dancer, and like I say, when I was a little boy, every morning she does her exercise because she's a ballet dancer. She always do exercise, and I was watching her. And then when I was about 5 years old, she said, well, George, come in and copy me what I'm doing. So I keep copy what she's doing, and that's when I started. And when I was 7 years old, that's when I started getting get a job to surviving. You know, to my mother would say, well, talking to all the Russian dancers in Shanghai, they're all performers, nightclub. So she said, well, why don't you teach George, do some kind of a numbers like Russian dance, polka dance, or, and like a sailor dance and things like that. So I can go on and work in a nightclub. So we can make some kind of living during the wartime, which is a hard time, But when we at work, we didn't take the money because, you can't do nothing with the money, So we take whatever they have for, like rice and food, because that's a shortage in Shanghai those days during the wartime. So, and that's how we survive. And then after that, when the wars are over, my friend of my father, who was in the Air Force, and so he come to New York, Shanghai, and he stopped by and look for us, and that's how we met him. And I think he was doing some dancing to himself sometime. But one thing was funny though, because I don't know, I think I mentioned to Jennifer that when I was in China, I was never grow up. When David Lerner, the gentleman from the Air Force, come in, and my mother asked him, "Can you get some kind of vitamins?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I can get some vitamin because they can go to PX, those things they can get it, but China on the outside you don't get all these things." So he get my mother, for me, $2 from PX, some kind of vitamin. I took the vitamin. I was grow up.
You got taller.
a really small little kid, but I took the vitamin. I grow up, and so I grew up to 5'5". And after that, like I say, was Shanghai, and then 49, the communists will start moving in, and so now all these people, wondering what to do. We gotta leave. Thing. So my mother figured out everybody's leaving, and she was worried, about me. If the Chinese communists come, what happened to me? Because I'm Asian boy, they might say, "Oh, you gotta stay here and this and that," Now, so she decided, well, we're gonna move out too. So we moved to the Philippine Island, to the refugee camp. And we're supposed to be there for 4 months. We stuck there for 2 years. It was okay for me because I was a really young kid, running around. But
Right.
my mother is the one who suffer most because she got to do things and they got to work in the kitchen, because we have certain, I think about 13 division, place. We have one of them. So everybody got to do that. So we spent 2 years in the refugee camp. Well, when typhoon comes, forget it. The tent goes down.
Wow.
Right.
And the rain is so heavy, in south, no, the country.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, in 51, and they start dispersing us around, so, and then my friend sponsored and us to come to United States. So we've come to United States on the boat. We stop, I think we stop at San Francisco. That's where we come up. And then we got to catch a train to go to New York because that's where my sponsor was. My mother was staying in California, San Francisco, because all the Russian, we know they all stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Our sponsor was New York, so we got to go back to New York. So we get there, and he was so nice, and he moved out and gave his apartment to us, and he moved out to his parents' place.
Wow.
Wow.
We come in, we don't know nothing about the new country, so it's hard to see something, different. After the 10 we lived, for 2 years, and then suddenly move into the apartment things. So it was really shock in our system.
Right. Did you speak English at all at that time?
Well, we speak English, yeah, because when I was in China, when I was little, or when I was not working nightclub, during the day, my mother hired a tutor to teach me, like English, geography, and some history. So I have something,
Right.
But the refugee camp was good. At the end of the year, they opened a school for the kids. So they brought us in and they teach us English, and math and things like that, a little bit something. So it was great because when I come to United States, my mother signed me up to high school right away because around the corner was my high school, was the Manhattan High School Aviation Trade. So my mother figured, well, he liked to mechanic, so so I was there for 4 years, and they all like me at the office, because they know I always there, always do my things perfect, And the teacher likes me some of them because mechanically, we build how called templates, you call the wings, things like that. And I make one of them, and the teacher like it, and he took it away from me. I say, hey, that's mine. No, he said it's great. He technically goes showing every class how these things be done. So good.
Wow.
So that's why he took it away from me.
A multi-talented guy you are, for sure.
Yeah.
I graduated at January 1955. But during that time was Nutcracker come up in 54.
Right.
And I won't tell the beginning yet. My friend who sponsored me to New York, he took me out. He said, well, I'm going to take you to the school American Ballet because you know that I'm dancer. So I said, okay, but I haven't done anything for 2 years.
I was just going to ask that. I mean,
Right.
nothing, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he took me to school, and I don't know, they have tights on and things on. When I was tiny, we just a bathing suit on. That's it. But he get me the bathing suit, maybe the ties and shoes and things like. And he took me to the school, and I got to go in and find out that I was supposed to go into the advanced class. I said, "Geez, after 2 years, I was out of shape, and I got to go to advanced class." And I said, "Okay." I figure I better be quiet and get myself in. So I walk into the classroom, I see about 20 or more people in the class. I said, geez, that was make me nervous then now. Because most of the time I see was a few of the Russian guys, that's it. Here's the whole class.
Right.
And advanced class. I said, well, I guess I got to do it. That's why I have no. So I took the class. It was okay. it's no problem at all. I can do nothing, like I was been taking class before. No, that's why I was surprised. My body was never miss.
Wow.
And then we do a combination in the center, and the teacher was Albukov, and he's a real strict Russian teacher.
Mhm.
And we did a combination, and then he called me, come here, and he said, I said, okay. I woke up, and he said, what's the name of the combination? And I was panicked because I didn't expect anybody gonna ask me, what's the name of the combination.
Right.
So what I could do, so I tried to explain it to him. So I tried to explain in Russian. And he looked at me, you speak Russian? And he walks away. But you see, I know I did the combination good. That's why I was surprised he called me for that,
Right.
not to ask. And he would want to know what the combination. I said, I just get panicked. So I tried to explain to him in Russian. And then you speak Russian? He walks away.
What was the combination? Because I'm wondering, I'm thinking about your double tours that we saw in the
But
documentary.
like simple, like Lisa, something we did. I don't
Oh,
remember.
okay. Jumps, though.
It was nice, yeah. But what was bothering me was that they said it was advanced class in which make me scared. Because I haven't done nothing. A dancer, you gotta be in shape. But the class was nothing. It was easy for me. Even out of shape, but it was easy.
Wow.
So I got my scholarship from them. So
Right. At what point, the really amazing story that's coming up shortly, I imagine, is that George Balanchine picked you to do the original. You were the originator of the tea advertisement in the Nutcracker. So I'm wondering if we can talk about that for a second and kind of just frame it for us. Did you have, it's a big full length production, but when you're young, maybe you're not fully aware of how important that sort of thing is. Who told you you were going to be rehearsing? Did you know that what a big deal this was, or were you just kind of going along with, what the adults in the room were doing?
When I was taking class in the school American ballet, and Balanchine used to come in once in a while to see the class and talk to the people in the office, but I never have any contact really with him. When the Nutcracker come up and they figure out, well, I have an Asian boy, and he thought, oh, that would be good for Chinese tea. So the day comes up, he called me up to the studio, and I didn't audition. He just called me in to talk to me and things like that. And then he asked me, George, he said, what can you do good? So I said, well, I'm going to show you some steps. And I said, show these steps, and that step. He looked at it and said, oh, that's good. We can use that. And so he combined his, and he choreographed the thing for me, for the team. And then he told me, you be in the box. And when they open up the box, you pop out. And that's how the choreography, everything we took together with him was not too long. It took about 15 minutes for us to set it up.
15? Right.
Yeah, because everything he said I knew already how to do it.
Yeah.
So I just combine and just do it. He just put everything. And then he told me, you'll be in the box. And two girls going to push you up. And then when they open the box, you pops out. That's how I did. And that's how I did my Nutcracker first in the ballet in New York.
I wonder what it felt like as a student to be performing, not only just performing with the company, but also doing a lead role in the Nutcracker, originating this. Like, what did that feel like? I guess it's hard to know what a monumental moment it is. Like how many thousands and thousands and thousands of people have seen millions, I guess. Like
by now,
by now, seen that dance.
Yeah, it was nice though, because I haven't performed for a long time since I was in the refugee camp. So when it got the Nutcracker, that was something I gotta do. I better do good. Like my mother say, you go to America, you better be good. You gotta be 10 times better. Otherwise, what's gonna be nothing, for you. To do it. So in my mind, I did. I work hard and keep in shape. Doing everything that's when the Nutcracker come up, and I did my best I could.
Oh my
Can you?
gosh.
I would love to hear a little bit just about how you personally kind of felt. Like, I mean, the dancing in the nightclubs, that was important. That was part of survival in your life then. But was dancing something that you really connected to at the young age, in spite of doing it out of necessity? Did you also really crave it and want it in your life? Did you miss it when you were away for those 2 years?
Oh yeah, I did miss that. I mean, but when the Nutcracker come out, that's when I put everything in what I could do. I put everything I could do and do the best I could because it's something different. You're in the ballet company, and there's a lot of dancers, the soloists and things, everybody. So I gotta try to be up there too, to be
Right.
good, So I did all my best, and it was fun though.
Do you know
It
that Michael has danced your Chinese
I
piece?
have. I have, and I was just thinking. I was actually the other question was that I wondered if you felt uncomfortable in the box because I got a little panicky when I was in the box.
No,
It could be stressful.
no, it doesn't get panic because
Uh,
I grew up with all this kind of thing, so
mhm.
doesn't my what is good is when I was little, my father and my mother was teach me, everything. I remember one day my father make me stand a handstand, and then he walks away, smokes cigarette, and come back. I still gotta be standing on my hand. I couldn't come down because it was box around me.
George,
Uh,
tell the story about the one performance where the dancers forgot to let you out of the box.
Yeah, the
Talk
girls,
about panic.
no, they push the box out. They
uh-huh.
open it and I pop out.
Uh-huh.
Then finish the dance, I go into the box and they close. And they push back the box to the off stage. And they forget to open up.
Off stage.
And they get so excited they forgot. And you're so hot there, box, no oxygen, I think. And after dancing is so good. And then suddenly they open the box and say, "Oh, we are very sorry, George. We forgot." Video there.
Because of course you don't
Mhm.
want to come out until you know you're off stage. You need to wait. Yeah.
No,
Mm.
the box is not big, just enough to
Fit
Yeah.
in.
fit in his crotch in a position. So when I open up, I just sort of hop out. And so same thing when I go back and I gotta come, and then they close all the thing and then push the box back to the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was going to ask if you think that the choreography is mostly intact from what you originally did. We see obviously it has your famous double tours in there, but do you think it's more or less similar to what you did on that opening night?
Well, everything was so set, but no, so when I go on stage, I know I gotta perform.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
My mother was back in, when I was kid, to tell me how to do it. And then I worked nightclub and everything. So like I said, when I pop up from the box, I got to do what a choreography in turn, means be set. And
Mm-hmm.
and then, like I said, was to me was nothing though, because somehow the thing I'm doing, I've been trained for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it wasn't very, very hard. So I can do it easy and not worry about it. I'm gonna go out and I'm not gonna do it. No, I
Right.
go out and I did it. I come back to the box. But that
I'm,
was
I'm thinking of the generations of men who have had so much anxiety over trying to execute those
Yeah.
beautiful steps. I love it.
I'll add here that last Christmas, Roy Kaiser, who runs Nevada Ballet, invited George to see the Nutcracker. And that was the first time he saw the Nutcracker in like 50 years or so.
yeah. After that.
Wow.
But they did a different version. It wasn't a Balanchine version.
Mhm.
George, did you like the Chinese dance, or was it different than the one you used to do?
Oh yeah, way different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get
Yeah.
you to see the
When
Balanchine
I
one.
was
soon.
dancing, I
Mhm.
gotta go out and did my things. The
Mhm.
splits and turn and down, and go up and
Mhm.
out. Things. So
Right. So the Chinese dance and your history with it is what ultimately led Jennifer to you. Maybe Jennifer, you can talk about just how you first became aware of George and his legacy, and then how you started to try to track him down and connect. What made you feel connected to his story?
Yeah, well, I discovered George really in the stacks of the New York Public Library when I was just researching the Nutcracker. I wanted to see what the first versions were like. And of course, you have to start with the Balanchine, as well as the San Francisco Ballet version. But they had photographs of George, and they were incredible photographs of him leaping in the tea role. So I then started digging a little further and reading the reviews of the Nutcracker. The Nutcracker was a phenomenal hit from the get-go. But in the reviews, some of the writers would cite George and commend his dancing ability. And in fact, in the movie, there's this wonderful quote from Richard Thomas, the soloist who took over the role, who says in an oral history from 1979, no one could do what George Lee did. He was wonderful. So, and the interviewer said, well, did you try? He goes, I tried. I nearly broke my neck. So George's double tours really impressed everyone. So that was really the catalyst, the spark that I just wanted to find out what happened to him. Why don't I know this dancer and his story? So that really was the genesis.
You told us this story last time on the podcast, so we just want to bring it up one in case people didn't hear that. But then it was hard to find him, right? What process did you go through to find him?
So first of all, George Lee is kind of a common name. And I was like, luckily I'm a former newspaper reporter, so I know how to find people. And so I was looking all over the country using databases, Googling, and I really hit a dead end after 4 weeks of looking for him. I was convinced that he had passed away because there was a George Lee in San Jose, the same age, who was deceased. But then Phil Chan, who's been on your show many times, connected me with Arlene Yu. And Arlene was a former collection manager at the Jerome Robbins collection of the New York Public Library. And Arlene also was looking for George. And so we combined forces. This was like 4 weeks after I had seen the photographs. And Arlene, I mentioned this before, she gave me the clue that unlocked the mystery. She had a one-sentence brief from Variety newspaper saying, in 1959, George Lee became a U.S. citizen. And so with that, I was able to go back into these databases like Ancestry.com, newspapers.com, and I found his naturalization papers, which not only had his date of birth, but the key fact that he changed his name from L.I. to L.E.E. So, doing a little more digging and hunting, I found the ship manifest when he came over to this country with his mother, and it had her name, which was unusual, Stanislava Lee. And so I found her obituary, and it mentioned she had a son who lived in Las Vegas. And then I tracked him down in Vegas, called him up, and the rest is history.
I want to know what it felt like for you, George, to know not two people were looking for you. Everyone's trying to find you. What does that feel like?
It's very mystery to me, but they found. Now I was surprised. I was shocked and I was surprised too, because I was working in Vegas so quietly, do my job, work 8 hours a day, and then go home. It's I don't stay like most of the dealers. They go out to drinking and things like that. I don't drink. I don't smoke. So I just go home and do my things. And then suddenly Jennifer calls. They're looking for George Lee, who is a ballet dancer. I said, that's something weird. So I said, well, I better call back. Find out. I said, my name is George Lee, and she said, are you a ballet dancer? I said, yes, I'm the ballet dancer. And then she started telling me all these things. And that's how our story come out. And thanks to her, she's the one who brought me everything back and tell the people what I'm to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what the process was like? Jennifer, were you two just sitting down together and really kind of parsing through all this history? And how did you first even start the project beyond the phone call?
Yeah, well, the phone call was December 29th. 2022, and by February 14th, we were in Vegas with a crew. And it was the first time. And so, even though George and I had spoken on the phone, there was a little bit of trepidation and nervousness, like how would it go? How would he feel in front of the camera? How would he feel about telling his story? But George also had some trepidation too. He wasn't sure that this was all legit and that it wasn't an elaborate scam. But he showed up for the first interview with a portfolio of all of his photographs from when he was a child, and newspaper articles from the North China Daily newspaper, and programs and publicity photos and studio photos. And it was just a remarkable interview and a journey into his past. So that was February. We came back in April to do a second interview. And then it was quite a coincidence, but a stroke of luck for us, because in addition to George's performance in the Nutcracker, which is an iconic ballet, he was also in the original cast of Flower Drum Song, and was picked by none other than Gene Kelly, to be one of the original dancers. And that too is an iconic production, particularly for Asian American performers. And in May of last year, the dancers from the Flower Drum Song were having a reunion in Los Angeles. And that was sponsored by Helen Funai, who was one of the dancers. Nancy Kwan was there, who did the lead role in the movie. And that was really an amazing experience to see George and his peers from the Flower Drum Song. And there were about a dozen of them at this reunion, and they all came up to George and either said, "You were an amazing dancer," or "You made me a better dancer." Because one of the things that really impressed me was how George would help and coach and mentor the dancers around him, which is really such a generous, extraordinary thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes me wonder. I mean, it was a thought that I had watching the documentary. Is there any chance, or have you been back in a studio with some young dancers? Obviously that is a skill that you have that's mentioned in the documentary, and I'm wondering, what can we do to get you back coaching T for some people still performing it?
For me?
Yeah.
You see, that's only one thing. I was teaching one time, long time ago in LA. I was there, and a lady who was with the flower drum, she had a studio they call Direction Dance. And she said, "Well, you want to teach something? I know you teach ballet." And you see, that's only one thing I don't like to teach, because in America, the teacher catering to the kids. Me, my mother and my background from the Russian people, we don't hate each other. You got to do or die. So when I teach, I like to be the way I was taught. So I have them like about 5 or 6 girls, and I teach them the way I was. And they're the one who like to learn. That's why I teach. But usually I don't like to go out and teach anybody. But this was my little group. I teach them. And then one day they went to San Francisco Ballet. They were auditioning people, for the scholarship or whatever. They come back and say, "George, was nothing. Was very easy. We did everything, And then later I get a letter from San Francisco Ballet Company, and they say, "George, when you come back, visit us in San Francisco, come to see us, please." Know that who was the teacher, what this kid. And they were good. They both of them, they all get scholarship. Right away. So, but I was teaching in New York when I was taking class in ballet art. Vladimir Tugodovsky is a Russian guy. And he likes me, and he teaches some place. Sometimes he can good. He say, "George, can you cover me up and go teach the class?" But that's only one thing I did, just for somebody. Otherwise, I don't like it, because I don't get used to the American way. You can go out and slap somebody, because you get
Yeah. It's
One thing I got to tell you the story. I didn't even tell Jennifer. Listen, the Dukodowski, I told you the very strict, the one who asked me what's the combination.
Uh-huh.
One day, the Super Soul, Super Soul, yeah, you go
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
He got them and he whacked me in the back and I flew up half of the studio. You see how strong they are, the Russian. You see, that's
Mhm.
how I do it.
Well,
But he won't do it to anybody. Just
uh-huh.
because
knew.
in America, if you hit somebody, you can't do that to hit my kid, I mean? But he know my background, my mother, me from Russian school, I mean? They no, you do it or you don't do it, I mean? That's how he is.
That's
He
funny.
whacked me up and I flew. And I get off my head. I get his hand in my back.
Oh,
A handprint.
Strong.
no.
They're very strong, they're older,
Yeah.
but very strong. And he was very good. Oh God.
Yeah.
You know, George didn't mention, but when he was in Shanghai, he was taking class with adult Russian dancers, not with children. So
Right.
later he danced with the King Yanover School, but early on in his training, it was with the Sikorski Ballet. And you were dancing with adults, and you were
Yeah.
like 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
I got to keep it up with them.
Yeah.
Right.
They would encourage me, everything. And one thing was so funny. One day I told Jennifer, they put the towel around me and I need to do Grand Prix. He said, this is it. You got to do the Grand Prix right here. 32 counts. The 32
Of
counts.
course.
Uh,
So I got to do the Grand Prix, and they say, you cannot go sideways, you cannot go sideways. But a little bit going forward, okay. So, and I got to do it, So they've been keep me doing that every day after class. We practice ourselves. Same thing with air turn. He did that. We did. They say you got to up, you got to come back, same place,
Mm.
and that's how I can learn from them.
right. Well, it's no surprise then that, you're taking 2 years off and you go back in and it's nothing,
Right.
You trained so much harder. It makes sense that it's just still in your body.
Yeah. And my mother French, and she talk about Grand Prix air turn, yes, right?
Mhm.
She says, "You wake up, wake me up and say, now do your air turn next to the bed. You gotta do the air turn. You come back, not in there." That's how she was.
Oh my gosh. I wonder, what did it feel like for you? Did you have your sights set on New York City Ballet, especially when you're doing this in Nutcracker? Were you like, I'm going to get hired into the company? When that didn't happen for you, was that something upsetting, or tell us kind of like how you were feeling during that time?
No, I don't get upset, but no, I mean, what can I do?
Yeah.
I'm short. Nobody can say. No, I can't do nothing about it. No, I don't get upset because I'm the guy. I don't know how I'm funny guy. I just look forward.
Right.
Hmm.
That's your
See,
personality. Yeah.
like in the flower drum, they know me. They call me the George. You're the happy-go-lucky guy. That's how I am.
Oh.
And I go do it. So well, I can't do ballet. Then I gotta look something else. And that's when I find out about the audition for the flower drum. And
Mhm.
Right.
at the time when they had the audition, I couldn't be there because I was traveling with Andre doing concerts. So I called up the office and I asked, say I cannot be on the audition date. So they said, don't worry about it. So when you come back, go to the theater. Nobody, they had together. And we see what happens. So
Mm.
I went there. I went with Linda, the girl. And we did
Mhm.
flout, bluebird
Yes.
Uh-huh.
for them in audition. And
Mhm.
then, and all these Asian cast people sitting there, my colleague, normally we call it, look and say, where this guy come from? Like nothing, So, and then another thing, when I finished it, I went to going home and waiting for the elevator, and that's where Gene Kelly stopped by and says, "Oh, say George, I know you like ballet, but why don't you learn something new? Like jazz and things like that. That's just not jazz. I don't even know what that is."
Mhm.
You say, well, you learn something, new, and then you get paid. And that sounds even better. Even
Wonderful.
you I don't even know. So I went back home and told my mother about that. And so somebody said, well, maybe you should try it. I mean, we need to survive somehow. So, and I took the job. And that
Right.
Cool.
allowed on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, these beautiful memories you have, obviously you held onto them in some way just through, all the sort of paraphernalia and things you have that Jennifer was mentioning, like bring out these beautiful photos you have of your career. But did it still feel, even though you obviously cherished it, having all this renewed attention, what has that kind of made you feel, especially from people, people from our generation that we didn't have the opportunity to see you dance live ourselves, but then we're inspired by the video and by the story and by the documentary. What has all of that made you feel like?
Well, I feel great because I mean, well, thanks to Jennifer who get me in, and I go back into all these things. I mean, and it is very cherished for me, to see something. I mean, somebody really interested. I mean, because most of the time you don't people. I mean, I mean George, what I mean, and that's it. I mean, but here she come up and tell me all this and get me connected, interview thing, and she's the one who got me in back to the dancing thing. I mean,
Hmm.
so like now I'm here, talking,
Has it felt, what has
which
it
is
felt like to kind of like you had put that part of your life aside? Like you were not doing anything related to dance or ballet for years, right? What has that been like to kind of like have it come back into your life at this point?
well, that's I'm saying it was very surprising, very shocking too. When
Uh-huh.
it Jennifer come in, and tell me, really, what you really Chinese ballet dancer, I mean, in America. And that's what she said. And I said, well, what, another dancer, that's it. I mean, but she tried to show me that I was the one first time in America, Asian American ballet dancer, male dancer. So, you know, I feel good, because somebody recognized, something, I mean? So, I mean, all this time, nobody know nothing. I just do my job at the Four Queens, work my 8 hours, go home. That's it. I mean? And
Right.
nothing much. And so I have no connection, anything. And most of the time, I don't know, most of the times people don't even call you and say hello to you. Uh, okay, I'm here by myself. So what? I'm making my living, I mean? So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
it. Until Jennifer comes and tell me, oh, this and this. And that's why now everybody calls me.
You The last time we spoke, it was before our premiere at Lincoln Center, Film at Lincoln Center. And it was also before Works in Process had an event for us at the New York Public Library where George and I talked about the making of the film and how we met and things like that. And I have to say, for me, the most memorable moment was we were at the New York Public Library at Lincoln Center in their auditorium, which seats 200 people, and it was filled to capacity. In fact, there was an overflow of like another 25 people who were watching it in the lobby on a big screen. And in the audience was the president of the New York City Ballet, the artistic director, Jonathan Safford, and the head of the School of American Ballet. And when George walked out on stage, before they even said his name, everyone started to applaud.
Oh.
And to me, that was just such a sweet moment because George, I felt, was getting the recognition he deserved.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And also, Carrie Heinrich from the School of American Ballet invited us to observe a class. So we watched an advanced class at the school, and Jonathan Stafford took George on a tour of backstage because they went to a production of the New York City Ballet, and they got to stand on that gorgeous stage. So those were real precious moments, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so moving. Yeah, it must have felt really profound for you, George. Or what was that like to get to have that attention and to have a sort of very beautiful full circle moment?
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's something out of my mind. I don't even think about all these things, and here I am. You know what I mean,
Mhm.
and it is exciting for me too now to find out. You know what I mean, that I got to go through everything and telling Jennifer my life thing, and she knows more better background than I do. You know, my life
He remembers it all.
got me even more. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they show me this, show me that, and I said, "Gee, I don't even remember like the boat that come in and everything."
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, well, I was slow, a little small, go to New York, you know? So
Oh,
Yeah.
new life, you know what I mean? So
yeah. Jennifer, what has the reaction to the documentary been like, and where can people see it coming up?
The reaction has been just incredible. We're talking to you today from Las Vegas. And on Sunday, there was a front page article about George. We just did a TV interview, and there was another TV interview that aired this morning on another station. So people really respond. I think when reporters hear the trajectory of George's life from like growing up in war-torn Shanghai, struggling to establish himself in the 1950s in New York City Ballet. I think people are just impressed by his accomplishments, but also, George, you're a very optimistic, happy person. And I think that comes through in the movie. I mean, it would be so easy to be bitter. You didn't get everything you wanted in life, but you got a lot, and you seem to be okay with that. And you're content as a blackjack dealer. So I think the movie is really resonating. We're right now on the film festival circuit. We're having our Las Vegas premiere today at the beautiful Beverly Theater, which is an art house movie theater in Las Vegas. And then tomorrow we'll be screened at part of an Asian American film festival in Los Angeles called the VC Film Festival, and then on to San Francisco for Cam Fest, which is another. Will be screened. There's a screening at the Asia Society in Hong Kong, and there's also a screening at the Kennedy Center. And this is part of Phil Chan's 10,000 Dreams. He's going to be in residency there in June, and we'll be part of a slate of ballet movies that will be screened at the Kennedy Center. So I think that reflects that there's a lot of interest. And beyond just the United States, the fact that the Hong Kong Asia Society is going to be screening it is also, I think, indicative of the interest and the appeal of George.
Do you have, maybe you can speak to this, I don't know yet, is there any plans to have it streaming? We're just like really hoping someday that'll happen so we can all see it.
So our hope is that it'll have a national broadcast on public television. We haven't like worked out how that's going to happen, but that's one of our major goals at this point. So to provide it to public TV so everyone can see it, and then hopefully have special events around the country. We're already talking with the Nevada Ballet about doing something, and also the Oakland Ballet will be doing a special screening with them in September. Graham Lustig is one of our advisors. So I think within the ballet community, there is a lot of interest in showing the film, especially to students of ballet. We really would like to make a big push to get the film to ballet communities as well as Asian American communities. So stay tuned. Follow us on social media.
If anyone listening would like to set up a screening or get in touch with you guys, how's the best way to do that?
Go to our website and just send me an email. We'd be happy to talk to you.
Okay. We'll put that information in the description of this episode so everyone has it.
Well, George, I just hope you know what an inspiration you are and how much your story is moving people. So anyone that I know that's seen the film has been just so impressed by your perseverance and your character. And I have to say, Rebecca and I were both moved to tears in the documentary. And it's funny talking to you because it's you are so optimistic, and I can't imagine you shedding a tear over it. It's like I think your story is so deeply affecting, but also your humility and grace surrounding it is just all the more charming and involving. So thank you so much for sharing your story and for being the inspiration that you are. We're so happy to have had you on.
Yeah.
And thank you to be here talking to you too.
We're so glad it worked out. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Jennifer.
Conversations on Dance is part of the ACAST Creator Network. For more information, visit conversationsondancepod.com.